guys, and welcome back to the show. So, for today, I thought I should do something a bit different. We are going to be looking at Flexbox in CSS. I realized that a lot of people struggle with using Flexboxes, so I thought I should make a quick tutorial on how to use Flexbox using CSS and pure HTML. So, if you come over here, as you can see on my screen, I've got a body, and inside of the body, I've got a div which has got a class called container, and I've given another ID called main container. And inside of this div, I've got multiple divs. So I've got div all with a class name box, and I've got like different names for divs. So I've got div 1, div 2, div 3, div 4, and so on and so forth. So one thing to know about flexboxes is that you need a container. There are some properties for the flex container, which is like the parent, the properties for the parent. All right. So in this case, we've got this over here is the parent. So basically the box that contains the other things that you want to add the flex properties to, that main box is the parent box. So if I come to this over here and let me comment this one out for now so that you know what I'm talking about. This yellow thing, this golden thing that you see out there, this is the container. That is the parent. And this parent contains div 1, div 2, div 3, div 4, and so on and so forth. I hope this makes sense. So there are some properties that will go on the parent, which is the main box that contains the things that you would like to add the flex properties to. And these are the flex elements. So these are the elements. So imagine that this is the mom, right? This big div over here is the mom called container, and these are the children. So the flex container is the mom, and these over here are the children. So the mom is the big golden thing, and this is a child, that is a child, that is a child, and that is a child as well. So that is the first thing that you need to get when working with flex boxes using CSS. So as you can see over here, the parent has got a background color of gold, then display flex. It enables the flex context for all its direct children. So initially, without this, okay, if I should take this out, like so, you can see that they are back there, like so. Now let me give these ones color, and we can have a look at them properly. So if I give you the color, this is how it looks like. This is the mom, the golden thing is the mom, and the children are these div boxes. But as you can see, I haven't applied no flex element or no flex property to the main mom. So the children are going wayward, like they're just doing whatever they want. But if I do want to contain them in the flex box or in the parent container, all I need to do is to add this display flex, and voila, okay, it arranges them for me without any problem. So everything goes really well. So that's the first thing you need to know when working with flex boxes. Now the flex direction, so the direction of the children by default is row. So if I save this and I do this, nothing changes, but I can change the flex direction of the children inside of the main parent. So inside of the container, I can change it to be row or either column. So if I change this to be column, like so, see, it is now a column. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, like I didn't do anything. What I can do now is to say row, reverse. I reverse the row. So instead of div 1 here, div 1 goes all the way back. And this is done on the parent container. So that is the flex direction. So you could have different properties. We've got row, row reverse, column, and column reverse. And this is done on the main container. So as you can see over here, when I try to minimize this, the shrink is like I'm trying to fit few elements in a very tight space. What I can do is I can tell it to wrap. What this wrap will do is that instead of it shrinking, it will move zoosh and it will come down here. So I think the best way to do this is to show you what it does. So as you can see over here, I can comment this one out and I'll have display flex row, and then I'll have this flex wrap set to wrap. Okay. So you can see over here. So when I try to squash it, it takes space underneath. So that is what the flex wrap does. And basically, instead of it squashing like before, if I comment this one out, so instead of it doing this, now I have this. And I hope this makes sense because you can actually see what is happening. So we are still on the parent property, all right? The properties that you can keep to the parent container. What we can do also is to justify content, all right? We can place this wherever we want. So let me show you what I mean by that, okay? So the justify content has got space evenly, which you space everything evenly. That is why you can see all these spaces over here, they are set evenly. If I get rid of this, they are not set. Like you can see the space over here, there's a lot of space over here. But the other property that we have is called flex stat. So everything will move to the left. As you can see, that's what the flex stat does. And the same thing for flex end, everything will move towards the right. So flex end, that is what flex end does. And then you can do center like so, and that's what center does. It centers Dave, or it centers the children into the container. So all these properties that I'm showing are the properties for the main container. So the parent or the mom, if you want to imagine what the parent or what the container is the mom, and these Daves that you see in there are the children of the mom. All right. And then we've got space around like so, which has space around every child in there, and then we've got space between like so. I hope this makes sense. So that is what the justify content property for flex boxes, that's what it does. The next thing we can look at is align items. So what the align item does is that it defines the default behavior of how flex items are laid out along the cross axis of the current line. Think of it as a justify content version for the cross axis perpendicular to the main axis. Let me just show you what the align items does. So flex start, nothing happens. Okay, and we can have flex end. So and look at what happens. It moves, all right? It moves. So you saw the justify content was moving things. So if I go to justify contents, it was moving things along the x-axis, right? So if I do center, it was moving things along the x-axis, okay? What the align items does is that it moves things along the y-axis. And then there is one called center. So you move it to the center. So that is it mainly. Those are the popular ones used for the container. So you can go ahead and play around with it and see what you can do with all the stuff that you've learned in this tutorial for the Flex container. So for the parent container or for the parent box. What we're going to look at now is some of the properties for the child. So for these children inside of the container, what are some of the properties that we can apply to these children? And one of the properties, or some of the properties that you could do, as you can see from here, is that these children, all right, this is the mom, and these children have got a class called box, okay? Some have got a box and a grow, okay? And some have got IDs as well. What we're gonna do now is to look at some of the properties for children, and some of the properties that people use in order to use the flex properties for the children. Again, this main container must have display flex in it. So this is a very important step that you need to understand how to use flex boxes really well using CSS and HTML. So the parent container, which is the parent container, the mom, needs to have the display flex in it, and then you can apply the flex properties to the child as well, or to the children element. Okay, so one thing that we're going to look at is for the properties is the flex grow property that we have for the flex elements. All right, so flex grow right now, if I refresh it, is 0. All right, what happens if I change this to 5? Let's see what happens. As you can see, the flex grow is for all, so all the elements with the box, they try to, they try to fill in as much space as they can, right? But look, if I get rid of this and I comment this one now, okay, so I've selected the elements with the grow class. I've set flex grow to 1, and look at what happens. So you can see that 3 and 5, they grew bigger than the div 1, div 2, div 4, and this div 6. So basically it's saying that, okay, make these ones, small, and make these ones much bigger. All right, I can set this to 3, and then it will still occupy the space. But look at what happens if I set this to wrap, okay? And I try to shrink this. I'll set the flex grow to 1. Then I try to make this bigger. So I make this, let's say 60 pixels, like so. As you can you see what's happening? I have div 1, div 2, div 3, div 4, and then div 5 moved right to the next line, but it took all the space that it could get. Then it gave div 6, which hasn't got any of the flex grow property on it. It gave it like the normal size that these have. I hope this makes sense. One thing that we can also look at is the align self. So with the elements or with the boxes, which are the children, we can say that align self, flex end, like so. So you've got flex start, they've got flex end. If I move this to flex stats and I set these ones to flex end, so if I show this and I go to flex end, see what happens. See? So I have all the elements which have the class dot box. They are at the top, and I've got like the ones which have the dot grow class. They are moving down. I think these are like the basics of flexboxes, and these are the ones that are used by lots of people. So play around with flexboxes, and I hope that this visual representation of this visual thing that you saw has given you a clear idea of how flexboxes work, and you could use that in your projects to build awesome layouts and awesome great. Thank you guys for watching, and if you have any questions, just drop them in the comment section, and I'll try my best to answer them for you. Thank you for watching, and bye.